I don't know if this has happened to you, but if you've ever had a few extra pounds on and you've been complaining to someone, particularly complaining to a man, you might have heard the response, why don't you just stop eating? Or if it was me, I would just stop eating. Basically, what's the issue? And of course, to the feminine ear that has maybe struggled with this for a long time, that sounds like the stupidest, most unempathetic answer of all time. And yet, that masculine getting it done, or either you're doing it or you're not doing it, that sort of black and white approach, I believe, does have a place amongst other approaches. But that's what we're going to explore today, how that masculine, stoic, just kind of get on with it type attitude can sometimes really help us. So this is in the context of a 22-day water fast, which I completed probably about a month ago. At the end of that fast, I concluded that 4 things were really needed moving forward if I was going to be more healthy and moderate in my eating. And so the first was really creating a nourishing, beautiful, creative lifestyle. You know, that otherwise eating becomes a compensation, a procrastination. The second thing, which we're going to talk about today, is how to keep boundaries with the self. So basically, how can I stick to a plan? The third thing was making meals which are actually worth waiting for. And the last one was how to maintain a regulated nervous system. So yet to explore the last 2, but today we're looking at the boundaries. So the first approach I had after the fast was really to look at lifestyle. I wasn't putting any limits on me. My stomach was putting limits on me, which I didn't really enjoy. I wanted to eat. My body was saying, not yet, but it gave me a chance to and especially when my energy came back, because that was one of the things I really noticed during the fast, that I was getting miserable because I had no energy. And therefore, I wasn't really able to do a lot of variety of things. So I really spent quite a bit of time looking at what I wanted in my daily life, how I wanted to use my creativity, how I wanted to, what kind of routine I wanted, what activities I wanted to include in my day, and really invoking the princess of the tarot card energy of creating a lushness and a life that's pleasurable, enjoyable, looking forward to it. Nothing to do with renunciation. It's a good balance after fasting to really explore this. And yeah, I haven't created a vision board, but I think this one is actually not a bad representation of many of the things that were on my list. And since I've been thinking about this, I feel like I've still got a long way to go. I still feel that the phone fills in gaps that I really need to eliminate, because then I would naturally do more of these things on here. But nevertheless, there has been some success, especially taking myself out of the house on many adventures, which have been great for my health, and seeing the beauty and the nature of where I am, which is Mount Abu, surrounded by natural beauty. The view out my window is stunning and there's just treks from every direction I can walk in. So, and creating stuff, I've been more focused on creating content, which has been a good outlet. So yeah, I can really see that has made a difference. But at the same time that I've been working on basically living the life and being the person who lives that life, because identity is so important, not seeing myself as someone who wastes her life, but seeing someone who makes the most of life, and stepping into not just the vision, but the vision of who I am, the feeling of that person that I am. But at the same time that I've kind of been naturally working on living this vision, the other side has been coming along with it. And this is the Chariot. The Chariot's the symbol of focus and discipline and getting things done. And it's that masculine energy moving forward, achieving the goal. And I do believe that if we were to just use this energy without doing the first step, without having a nourishing life, this would just turn into that setting goals, trying to achieve something and feeling like I'll be someone if I achieve it. So that very, not saying that the masculine side is egocentric, but that side can come out, just like the feminine side can come with that overindulgence. This male side can come with trying to prove myself to myself, or I'm acceptable if I can stick to this plan. And so that plans and goals and achievement type side, if we were to come with that first, it ends up just suppressing that feminine side that needs nourishment. And I do believe it would be destined to fail, because it's ignoring the inner feminine, which is trying to help us create a life worth living. But nevertheless, here comes this chariot, and I noticed it came along. And in a way, I felt what it was doing. If we look at this, it's like I have this vision of who I want to be and what I want to create. And then there's the alternative, the old self that I can get stuck into. And that's a good illustration of what that can look like. Midnight snacking and distractions and using food for all the worst reasons. That masculine side of us is really the part of us that makes those decisions. It's really meant to protect the feminine side. Yeah, so we've got both sides in our psyche. We've got this feminine, creative, nourishing side that's working on creating this beautiful life. But the masculine side is the part of ourselves that really wants to protect that vision. And I think for me, especially like reflecting on the time I've wasted in my life, not having good health or not having confidence or self-respect because of struggling with food and, missed opportunities and lots of, if you've had any issues with food, you'll know that it's not just a few pounds that's the issue. It's a whole lot of extra other baggage that comes with it. And so the contrast of really clarifying and beginning to live this kind of more ideal, sometimes these days I keep hearing the word romanticizing your life, and I quite like that idea that you make everything like you're the hero of your own drama and you're making your life as beautiful as you can and each moment as beautiful as you can. So moving towards that. And then you've still got this little old shadow of your old self there. And somehow this masculine side comes into its own, seeing the contrast and knowing that it's responsible for setting the boundary, not letting that old side of ourselves ruin this beautiful emerging dream. And in some ways that, what is it protecting us from? In a way, it's this childlike mind. And I always feel the mind is like a child. It's very innocent. It just runs to where it's got comfort before and joy before. And for me, that food has been a significant part of that. I'm bored. I don't want to do that boring job. I can't sleep. I'm physically uncomfortable. For a host of reasons, eating can be a pleasure that distracts from that internal or external or uncomfortable situation or feeling. And so the childlike mind will just run to the comfort. And suddenly, the father side of my consciousness, who's been lately weighing up the consequences of this lifestyle or giving in, to the toddler for a long, long time and seeing the damage of that, the father inside of my consciousness is finally saying, okay, enough is enough. But of course, in real life, when you tell a child, no more of what you've been enjoying, it doesn't just give up without a fight. And I think that is the crux of the issue of overeating, is that there's a conflict between wanting the comfort, the distraction, whatever I've been getting from food, and wanting that vision, that life, that self that I know is waiting to be experienced. And so this is where especially weighing up the consequence, and also knowing how the mechanism works, knowing that if I give in, the comfort that I'm going to get is temporary, but the underlying deepening of the habit, the training of the child to have an even bigger tantrum because he knows that I'm going to give in, just deepens the pattern. So it's not just that meal that's on the line, it's the pattern that's on the line. And so this is where I feel like, okay, the feminine side is really woken up and has this beautiful vision, but this masculine side is waking up too, and it's basically saying, all right, enough is enough. I don't care about your tantrums. And of course, what happens, same in a real life situation with the child, if it knows a no is a no, and dad's firm, and there's no negotiating, it becomes quiet eventually. Yeah, and that's exactly what's going on with me or with anybody who experiences this. I often use the example of Ramadan. When people fast for Ramadan, they don't battle every time they feel hungry because they put such a firm limit on themselves with such a clear reason that the mind just simply doesn't bother to ask. It doesn't push you to negotiate a little bit of this, a little bit of that, like no is a no. It's really firm. So what I've been experimenting with, and for the first time in my life, calorie counting. I always thought it was like a throwback to the 80s and ridiculous, especially because I do know that when you eat, what you eat, how you eat, insulin levels, happiness levels, there's a lot of information that goes into the equation of eating well. So don't jump on here and give me your opinion about calories, because I know it's not the whole picture. But for me, it's been really interesting because I sort of looked at what was a reasonable amount of calories that would maybe make me lose weight a little bit slowly, but not leave me too hungry. And that was like 1,500. So around 3 meals of 500 calories. And I really looked at what that could include. And it's quite a decent amount of food if you don't include a ton of oils and nuts and things that basically in the past I've been like super generous with, not at all aware of how much energy, how many calories were in those things. So it's been one, an education, but two, it's given me a kind of a structure to exercise having more control. And it's not extreme, and I'm not like, oh, I have to eat at this time. It's basically a guideline of I can eat 3 times a day, and that can add up to about this much. And even if I have a little snack, it's fine. Like I can kind of make it work where I feel like I can be flexible enough, but I know what the limit is. And it's really, really helped in, I think, what they call like food noise. Basically, wanting to snack. My mind hasn't gone to food. It's like I look forward to the meal, I make the meal, I don't think about the meal again. And I think that's where the guideline really does help. At least I've experienced it to be helpful. And again, it's not... I think this is also really important, that the whole exercise is not at all focused on losing weight. I'm focusing on how can I maintain really moderate, balanced, good eating habit where peace of mind. I think this is the main thing that a lot of people who struggle with food really want. They want the issue of their body and their food off the table. And one of the ways to do that is simply to take eating off the table as an option for a certain part of the day. Then you have to focus on your projects or whatever else you're going to do. This is where I want to face the phone next, because that can be a big distraction. Picking up the phone, it's like picking up food. Or for other people, they go for cigarettes. That desire to escape from the moment. But anyway, it's really what I've realized is what it comes down to is it's not just about losing a few pounds or anything around that. It's really about self-respect, how much energy I have, using my creativity, having confidence in myself, being present and good in my mind and body to take any opportunities. It's like choosing between, do I work on purpose-driven activities, or am I just going into this escapist procrastination, wasting life? And I think as you get older, that contrast and that decision becomes really more and more crucial. So none of the ideas in the video that you've been listening to are new to me. They're probably not new to you either. Of course, over the years, I've often thought about what's my ideal life, my ideal creativity, my purpose in life, vision boards, vision books, all of this. I think what's different is time feels like it's moving really fast. Maybe in my life, I don't know if it's in the world too. I think the call of the world, what's going on in the world, makes time and purpose feel more real and more important. Not wanting to waste more time of my life. So after the fast, I think that really became clear that I wanted to give this a serious look. But the other half of the equation is the marriage of the chariot. You know, pulling on that side of myself that's basically had enough of my own nonsense, and this is what it is. Like, we're going to live like this now, and you can't afford to negotiate anymore. Otherwise, you're just going to get stuck in that same old loop. And so, a certain part of it's just being over it all. But like I said, having the inspiring vision and also having the confidence to know, and the more that I'm exercising, you know, they say exercise in willpower. It really is a bit like exercising, because the more I do it, even if it's a simple thing of saying like, that's still a big meal, but that's the only meal I'm having. You know, setting little limits on myself and sticking to them really does give me that confidence that, yeah, I'm riding my chariot, I'm in charge of my life, and I know where I'm heading with it. And so, yeah, I think a nourishing, beautiful life is great, but without that chariot, it just goes into overindulgence. And then it's not a pleasurable life, it's like a life of consuming. But likewise, a life which is just all goals and plans and achievement to somehow fulfill some kind of emptiness or ego boost or trying to prove something, that doesn't work either. So I'm really enjoying invoking both these parts of my consciousness, the Empress and her lushness and enjoyment, and the chariot taking care of business. So thank you for listening, and do subscribe, because I hope you're enjoying, but I'd like to go further on this adventure, and we're really going to look at meals worth waiting for, and we're also going to explore staying calm, a regulated nervous system, and how that is so important when it comes to our enjoyment of eating and life in general. So again, thanks for listening, and Om Shanti.